wrote down some thoughts, got some numbers going, try to do a little bit of research before this video, because it's not the first time that that the community has been up in arms about somebody saying, hey, this game is in an interesting spot, which it is in an interesting spot. So I guess this is where we'll kind of start it out here, a little bit of an intro. Granblue is over a year old now, a year or 2 months now. It's been great during the pandemic. I mean, given what we've had, so many awesome things have happened. Of course, Arc Revo still happened, Arc Revo Online. The Grand Sky Rumble happened with $1,200 into that pot invitational setup. But Granblue suffers from a problem that has been going on for quite some time, and Granblue is not exclusively that issue, and we all know that. We're beating a dead horse at this point, right? Netcode's not great, and it's unfortunate. You work with what you got. But something I've said on Twitter a lot every time this comes up is that Granblue has a band-aid to fix a gaping wound that needs stitches, and the community is not at fault here. The community is doing a tremendous job. You look at Grand Line Singularity was an awesome event. The folks at Casa are doing a tremendous job. Ronin Rumble did a terrific job as well. Like, literally, I mean, you still have content coming up from Diaphone, Tega, and all sorts of great folks in the community that are doing a really excellent job of touting how fantastic Granblue is, and that's important. So I guess I open this up with, once again, we're in the spotlight for games. Our game has empty lobbies, but it's not the only one that's had that issue before, right? And I guess what we're really going to get into is this tweet, which, and this is where some of this is going to be me contradicting myself here, because one, you shouldn't give this type of tweet energy. So it's just like, oh, that's the wrong account. Hold on. Wrong window. Here we go. Community actively fights everyone when they know they are rocking Discord for a point. Exactly. That is exactly it. 100%. Turn me up a touch. You got it. I'm worried about picking up the fan in the background, so hopefully that's not getting picked up. So anyways, this tweet right here, right? Fellow named Dave posts up this tweet about how the lobby is empty. Yeah, the lobby is empty. It is empty a lot. Way more than it should be. It's unfortunate that this was the design choice that the team decided to create around Granblue. It's not, much like Revelator, much like Uni, it's not an accurate representation of what is actually happening in the game's community. There are people playing. You just have to know where to go. And that is actually kind of a detriment to the game when you're talking about casual players coming in. So you're going to get people like this making comments like, oh, well, look at this game. Could do better with rollback. Yep, that's for sure. And they referenced an article from last year in March. But apparently this is a new article, which is not the case. This is an old article, which I got it pulled up right here. This is a week before the release of Granblue. This is when it was released in Japan, and we were still getting early copies in. So this isn't anything new, but it's made the rounds again. So of course that discourse exploded, and I opened up this entire discussion with like, the community feels attacked, and honestly, you shouldn't. I don't know why you would feel attacked by this. This is something that happens all the time. Me coming from Killer Instinct, where we all knew that game wasn't dead, and it's still not dead, but people would always say, like, man, there's nobody entering these tournaments. Well, look at the circumstances that Killer Instinct was in. It's mostly an online community. Offline, you're talking about buying an Xbox One when most of the other games are played on PlayStation. So for a TO aspect or anybody locally, that's a difficult ask. Even bringing in a PC is a difficult ask for that game in particular. And honestly, the community is doing great for Grand Blue. They're always winning. There's great rivalries, pop bonuses. And the biggest detriment that we have is literally the bleeding effect that's not done by the community. The community is doing absolutely everything that they possibly can to keep this game running. And this entire year has been a tremendous year for Grand Blue. So why are we hung up on this? What I keep bringing up is that a game like this has, like, this is a solved problem, right? Killer Instinct since 2013 has had rollback. Done, solved. But the additional aspect you want to look at, though, is that even delay-based netcode games still do pretty well because of the instant gratification that these games have. If you look at Street Fighter, it's not the best netcode. It's gotten better over time, but Street Fighter, I can turn on the game within a few minutes and get a game, whether it be ranked or player match. Mortal Kombat 11, same thing. Dragon Ball FighterZ, same thing. All, like, with the exception of Mortal Kombat, those other two games have bad netcode, and you can still just jump in and play, and that's such an important aspect. If you look at games like Grand Blue Versus, Guilty Gear Xrd, and Under Night and BB Tag, you're required to go into an external application, and that's fine for me. As a fighting game player that has been in this community for so long, that is totally fine for me. And you're right, Ham, you shouldn't be in this situation this early in the lifespan of the game, but this is the life of the FGC, right? For all of us that have been here since Xrd, and even before that, it's always been go to the forum, go to the Discord, go to Twitter, the Facebook group, wherever you got to go to get this game coordinated in a system that already should have it. And it's crazy to me that Dragon Ball FighterZ, yes, it is an IP, stupid popular, but so is Grand Blue, just in a different side of the world. And this is a really big, I guess you could say, debut for Grand Blue in the West, right? Like, this is, aside from people that are playing the gacha game on the browsers, I say on the browsers like an old man, but like, this is the biggest opportunity that they've had for the West. And you have two different lobby systems. Dragon Ball, you can play instantaneously. Just jump in, unranked, ranked, it searches for you, connects you to a match, you're playing within minutes, or less than minutes, within seconds. Grand Blue, you're playing within 5 minutes. And I tried this today on both PC and PlayStation, and it sucks. It is absolutely bad. Another problem that we have is that multiple discords. That's insane, right? Like, if as an outsider looking in, this is a life that I'm used to, but if you're talking about somebody that is just getting into the game, there's no reason for asking somebody that's like thinking about playing a fighting game to be like, you should have this Discord, this Discord, this Discord. I looked at the Grand Blue versus Discord and just the core one. There had not been a request to play a game since the 23rd, and before that it was the 19th that something was said in the matchmaking channel. Snapshot of time. But hear me out. Someone shows up, says anybody wants to play in the PC channel, and then is told, actually, this is not the place to ask for a game. Not necessarily not the place, but like, you'll have more luck going to the PC Grand Blue versus Discord. So I'm already in one Discord. I have to jump to another Discord to ask for games. Like, and also the fact that you have to be in different regions because of this delay-based issue that we have already. So we're already dividing up a community that is already a small fraction of what gaming is. And if we're talking just casual players, you're already in a bad experience where you just try to play online on your console, on your PC, whatever it could be, and it took you longer than 5 minutes to find a game. As a casual player, that shouldn't happen. You should be able to get that instant gratification. And I checked it out too. I wanted to see like player population at the time, and this was at 3 p.m. Eastern today. The population wasn't great, right? Like Grand Blue at 3 p.m. Eastern was hitting about 100 players on Steam only. I didn't have, obviously I don't have access to PlayStation numbers, but on Steam only at the time. So I tried a different game that had rollback, plus R. Something of kind of equivalent popularity, right? Guilty Gear Plus R had 364 players at about 3 p.m. Eastern. I could find a game in less than a minute, but that's rollback, right? Okay. Well, and it's a little bit unfair too, but you can look at Dragon Ball FighterZ at 1,800 players at the time. I didn't need to wait 5 minutes to find a game at all. I didn't have to go to a Discord to find a game. Yes, you can find a game, but finding that reliable connection is so important for a casual player, and they're not getting that. What do we do, right? Like, that's so important because, again, like, I've been through this playing Killer Instinct where people just come at us and go like, oh, well, your game is dead, no one's entering it. And actually, that's not true. We have people playing it all the time. You just have to go online and play, and that's the benefit of rollback. For Grand Blue, we're all well aware that we're doing an excellent job of creating community events and celebrating this game, especially since we hit that $1,200 not just a couple months ago, right? One thing that constantly gets lost in these fighting game community discourses is the casual crowd and how important they are. If there's no easy, accessible way to play this game, it's going to be a detriment to the community. And if anything, like, there's not a lot that I think the developer can really do at this point. We're a year into the game, right? I would like to see a different player match system. Something that I could just turn on, boot up, and just play. Not have to look at these lobbies, because as a casual player, if you are one, or somebody looking into getting a Grand Blue, it comes with caveats of you have to have access to it. So this is where I'm kind of repeating myself, right? But when you look at the lobbies, and there's no one in the lobbies, I hit this at Exert in Revelator 2, when I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to try to play on PC as much as I can, or even on PlayStation. There was nobody online. So I had to find the Discord, find the Dustloop wiki, yada yada, and figure out how to coordinate games with people. That sucked. Like, I should just be able to turn it on when I have the choice of Mortal Kombat 11. I could just turn it on, play, and turn it off, be done. Whether or not I want to be a part of the FGC does not matter. You are just trying to get somebody to play this game. Grand Blue takes a little bit more work. And unfortunately, like, when you have other options like Mortal Kombat 11 or Street Fighter or even Dragon Ball, that instant gratification goes a long way. I couldn't get a match under 5 minutes changing my settings on Grand Blue. And there's both on PC and on PS4. Of course, having these lobbies are great, right? Like, we have this community that has already set up all these great avenues to get people who are already in the know of the fighting game community to play this game. If you're already in, you're already following the Twitter, you're already aware of like who runs events, or know how to get a hold of somebody that does run an event to know about Grand Blue. So even having this game offline, that's already talking about people that are already aware of the FGC, not getting anybody that is just playing the game casually. Soul Calibur takes forever, and the netcode is bad. It's kept me away from my favorite game all pandemic. Exactly. And I think that's a lot of players as well too, right? Like, a lot of players are here struggling to get games, or struggling to enjoy. Like, I love Uni. I can't stand playing Uni online though. I cannot. I tried early in pandemic. Playing Uni on the West Coast is worse than playing it in the Midwest. Midwest, I can get more games consistently if I'm just trying to turn it on. But if the stars align, if it's, the correct harvest moon, and, I don't know, like, the cards are right, my lotto numbers are up, then I'm going to find a game at random. And yeah, you're right. You pick up SFE because you can at least play. I play more Dragon Ball online because I can at least play, but I can't stand the delay. So I'll go to MK11, or I just don't play fighting games and avoid that frustration and just try to play them offline by myself or just with people I know. But again, we're that 1% that already knows, right? So I'm repeating a lot of like what we've gone through in this conversation, right? It's like, okay, well, we've seen this time and time again. Don't give it energy is ultimately what you need to do, right? Like, you see a post like this, it's like, oh man, look, it's an empty lobby. Okay. Well, one of two things that you could do, right? You could respond to it. Actually, this is a link to our Discord where we get regular games. I know it's kind of hard sometimes at specific hours, but it's still possible and there's still a thriving community. Or ignore it. Why signal boost something that's already talking negatively about your game that you think otherwise? Like, I don't understand that. Like, what fight are you trying to fight when someone says, I don't like your game? All right, cool. Bye. Done. And this post doesn't even say like this game sucks or anything. It's just like asking for something that should be expected, right? It's a bare minimum expectation to have a functional online setup. So like even with Soul Calibur, or hell, even with SNK games, right? Like, just having something playable is so important for keeping that new audience. I'm just going over my notes real quick, making sure I really covered everything. Yeah, so I guess if obviously keep doing what we're doing, right? Like, we're gonna keep pushing Grand Blue Versus. We love this game, it's enjoyable, but we can't avoid the fact that it comes with caveats when you tell people this game is great. You have to be upfront about it. Like, you have to be in these Discords. You have to have access to these external sources. Know people within the community, not just Grand Blue Versus, just people in the fighting game community, and reach out. But again, these are just like massive asks for somebody that's like, oh, hey, I stumbled upon a Grand Blue fighting game. Let me see what that's about. And this is to somebody that doesn't want to compete, right? Or just somebody that wants to play a fighting game in general. I think that's like relatively about it for my soapbox here. It's just like, this game is a hard sell to anybody new. Like, but if you take a moment to remove yourself from the fluff of what people are saying negatively about it, and just look at the hashtag GB Versus, right? Look at all this stuff that we're doing. Look at what Japan's doing. Just look at this. Don't look at that though. That's inappropriate. But look at all this other stuff that is going on Grand Blue Versus related. People are loving this. So why give energy to one person's opinion that's like, this game is dead, when we know that's not true? The game could benefit from an offline presence. Just not as, like I said earlier on Twitter, that the people who are going to be playing offline are already the people that are playing online. Yes, there are people that would only play offline. And that's still not going to help the numbers of the players that you see in these lobbies. The lobby system is unfortunate. It's a terrible decision in my opinion. And the only way Strive is going to get away with it, because they're doing the same thing, is because Strive has rollback. That's about it. And the fact that like you do have a ranked system that you can just sit in online training and then get fights automatically. There's no reason for you to, you know, preach to the choir of the community. Oh, I got invited to play Destiny. Uh-oh. I bet you they're trying to get me to raid. I said I was going to play Resident Evil. I'll see you in a second. But there's no reason to try to fight this fight that is non-existent. Keep doing you. That's ultimately it. That's about a 20-minute talk right there, my soapbox for Grand Blue. And I kind of went over some of the stuff that I already said on Twitter, but I felt like this was a format that like it doesn't fit in a tweet. And people do need to understand that when it comes to opinions like that, it is from that casual crowd that purchases the game. Could the game go on sale and increase like the player base? Sure. But if the game doesn't work, that player base isn't sticking around anyways. So we have to present it in a positive way. Show them the things that we've done that work so well. And that's how you keep your player base, honestly. Having a Discord, having your extra Reddits, your extra places to go, it's a big ask. But the community that we've cultivated out of the people that are already used to it, are some fantastic people and some fantastic content has come out of it. So keep on keeping on, and don't worry about articles like that. A year ago that was written. We all knew what we were getting into. We've been through this before. But also hold your developers accountable. Let them know. There's no reason that you can't also agree and just be like, you know what? Yeah, I love this game, but man, it'd be so much better if it had rollback. Or man, it would be so much better if this feature were implemented. Think about it. If we didn't ask for a rematch feature in Guilty Gear Strive, would it be there? That's it. That's all I got. Let's get this transition going here, though. I'm pretty sure I covered all the notes. I did. I avoided showing actual numbers of all the games I looked up at 3 p.m. One of them was Killer Instinct, actually. I think this is an important little tidbit. Killer Instinct had 34 players on Steam. And rollback is not always the answer, because that game is played mainly on Xbox and Windows 10. And from what I hear, because I don't have it on Steam, but from what I hear, playing Killer Instinct on Steam is terrible. You're not going to get a game. It's really hard. You can, of course, cross-play with unranked games, but you got to do a little bit of finagling to get that to work. But I think that's an important point to make, that rollback is not always going to be the savior of fighting games community. So, although it's the answer for an optimal experience, that's for sure. Yeah, and tonight the PlayStation lobby is going up, so that's cool. That's a lot of fun. But again, like that lobby too, you don't even know if it's going on unless if you're in the community. So you just so happen to luckily show up on your PlayStation, like, you know what, today I'm going to see if there's anyone on Grand Blue. And then somehow they are. It's wild. All right, let me see